It's the interview that I posted on my social media, an interview with John Simon, ex-Aussie Home Loans. It literally set my social media on fire this weekend, talking about, is the property market set to go up? Stay tuned here. This is a red hot topic.
Good morning.
Good morning, Billy. Good morning. A little video that I posted yesterday afternoon onto my social media. John Simon, for anyone that doesn't know Aussie John, you'd surely have to be hiding under a rock. Maybe your younger generation don't know him as well, Billy, but he completely disrupted the mortgage industry, Aussie Home Loans, and he did an interesting interview on the, I think it was the 7:30 report on ABC. I took a snippet of that interview over the weekend and put it onto my social media, and it's blown up on every single one of my platforms. I've had endless comments right across the weekend. We're going to break it down. It's an extremely interesting interview on his thoughts as to what's going to happen with the property market and those rents. Did you get a chance to watch it, Billy?
Well, we're going to play it for you right now. So have a quick look at this.
House prices and importantly for rents as well.
Well, I think house prices, they might soften a little bit more, but there's definitely my belief they won't collapse, and that gets down to supply and demand. You're going to have the investors who currently have an investment property, they'll retain their 50% capital gains. Why would they want to sell? So they won't. Less properties are going to come on the market to buy. The first home buyers, the new cost of housing's gone through the roof. Since COVID, construction costs have increased by 40%. 40%. They'll be going way out of town to buy a 2-bedroom basic apartment and paying $800,000 to $1 million. Who's going to pay that? So developers don't want to take this risk. So there'll be less building cost. A lot of the builders have gone broke building houses. They couldn't meet the cost they agreed on. So you're going to find less houses built. The 25,000 homes behind every year is going to go through the roof, less properties to rent.
So because of a lack of supply, you think prices will remain relatively flat?
Relatively. There'll be little hiccups, 5-8%, then they pick up 10%, then over 5 years, in 5 years houses will be significantly, I believe, more expensive than today.
So the price will go up over that.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's an
really interesting interview.
But I love the way
Billy, didn't mean to cut
I love the way you off air you broke it down to a little bit of a one-liner. Can you share that?
Okay, so the question is right here, is the property market set to go up? I know everyone's predicting it's going to go down, but the thesis of what John Simon was actually saying, you can watch the interview, guys. It's sitting there on my social media platforms. You can jump onto my Instagram page or you can jump onto Facebook. I think you're also going to be posting it, Billy, on your platforms as well. So his thesis is not the property can never go down. I'm actually just reading off some notes here that I've made. His thesis is this, and this is the best breakdown I've actually read. Here it is, guys. Supply shortages are so severe that any price falls will be temporary and demand will eventually overwhelm supply again. Right? And it's what I've been saying. I did an interview a couple of weeks ago, Billy, with it's also on my social media, the face of CoreLogic, largest RP data, rather. They used to be RP data. And before we started the interview, he said, well, the news isn't great. The data's not wonderful in terms of what's happening with property prices. And I stood there and said to him, what if I said to you that I'm predicting that property prices are going to go up in the next 12 months? And he looked at me like, that's foolish. But, you know, we look at exactly what John Simon is referring to in that interview. It's a supply versus demand equation.
Yeah. And when you're basically cutting the supply for a suburb because it's too expensive to build, the red tape is too tricky to get around, it starts to actually stop the pipeline of introducing more choice into the market. And so you'll either just get to a point where the market dries up because the stock's not being replenished, there's nothing more coming on the market for sale, and owners might just sit and wait, or you eventually find the sentiment turns around and people go, there's actually been a 10 to 15% correction in prices, and now is the time to go. And then once you start to feel that momentum build back into the market, it's hard to change it and turn it around. So buyers sort of feel and lead with that confidence.
Yeah, and now is the time, right? Now is the time. We've seen the dip in the market. We've seen it. We actually sat with, again, one of the largest real estate platforms the other day. Mark and I were sitting with them for a couple of hours reviewing all of the data. So across the Northern Beaches and many suburbs across Sydney, property prices have dipped about 5 to 7%. But here's the thing. So this is John Simon, guys. Again, we're just pulling apart the interview that was done with Aussie John. Many people will know him as Aussie John. It's gone viral across my social media platforms. His prediction is this: house prices may fall 5 to 8% at times. But over 5 years, they will be higher. And he's suggesting that rents are going to increase significantly. Now, listen, everyone's got their opinion, and there's lots of them there on my social media. I've never had a social media post go so viral. Obviously, everyone's predicting certain things, but I'm totally aligned with what he's saying. This is what we are seeing, guys. We are seeing this. And because of the supply versus demand scenario, we're not seeing lots of cranes in the sky because building costs are up by 40%, Billy.
Yeah.
They're up by 40%. The feasibility is just simply not there. People cannot build. They just can't build.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting, for a simple economist, just to break it down, it's a simple, overview on the market at the moment. And we're getting this question a lot. How is the market at the moment? That's pretty much my summary as well. It's a short interim where either buyers regain confidence and it turns things around on that sentiment side of things, or we're just going to see a slow in supply, and that'll almost force a correction in itself.
But let me ask you guys out there this: the supply side of things, it's difficult to argue, guys. Like, it's just difficult to argue. As a country, we've actually been struggling to build enough dwellings that are relative to the population growth for years and years. Like, I know lots of people that come through an area like DY, where we're based on the Northern Beaches, and they see a crane in the sky on Pittwater Road, on the main arterial road, and they're like, development's just going up everywhere. It's not, guys. You push down a lot of the side streets of the Northern Beaches in Sydney, things haven't changed since the 1970s.
Correct.
Things just have not changed since the 1970s. And the suburbs that are getting whipped at the moment are those suburbs where we are seeing lots of cranes in the sky, where we are seeing lots of building going on. But the reality of this is the population growth. Look at immigration, look at what is going on there, and look at the population, because we still have got an undersupply of housing in this country. So again, when you apply the demand versus supply equation, it's just an absolute no-brainer. The property market, in my opinion, and it looks like John Simon's opinion as well, it can't crash. It can't crash.
Yeah.
There's just not an oversupply of stock. And those rents, Billy, what are you predicting there? What do you reckon is going to happen there?
They're saying about 5% a year, which, they're not slowing down. And when you look at what it costs to hold a property as far as a mortgage is concerned, and then to service that in rent, the rents are still about a 30%, 40% discount compared to what it would be to own your own home. So what have we got here? Steve West, good morning. Thank you so much for your comment there. Markets may fluctuate from time to time, but real estate is always a long-term and good investment. If you're selling your home right now, presentation is even more important. So true. I would think about getting a valuation to know where the market is at, and also getting building pest too. Yeah.
I agree. Those rentals, I have to say, those rentals are set to skyrocket. They really are. And you know, that's the biggest thing. And I know we keep going on and on and on about it, but guys, we might just know a thing or two about what's going on in the rental market. We manage 2,000 properties. And just to give you an idea, we're managing one of the largest rent rolls probably in the country. So, you know, we certainly know a thing or two about what's going on with rents. A stock standard 2-bedroom apartment in an area like DY, which is a nice, you know, it's a nice beachside suburb. It used to be one of the cheaper suburbs on the northern beaches. We were renting those, I reckon, about 2 years ago, Billy, for about $650 a week.
Yep.
What are we renting them for now?
I reckon it's pushing $750 to $800. You know, you're really lucky to find anything under $800.
Minimum. I'd say $850.
Yeah, well,
week.
you know, you look at people's sort of idea on affordability. They're better off actually moving in with a flatmate or sharing that second room, and so it's actually pushed the price points all the way through. It's not just couples anymore taking these 2 bedrooms, you know, and people are working from home, so they've got the excuse.
Yep, I agree. So, you know, we are sitting in some very interesting times here. I can see there Brendan is saying feelings have changed, but the fundamentals haven't. That is the truth. Although, Brendan, if I can just add to that, on Saturday, long weekend, just gone past, our open home numbers, which we track extremely carefully, were very strong. The open home numbers were very strong. So we are getting more buyers coming through properties. What I find happens on the ground in real estate, particularly in our market, is when we are served some bad news, and by that I mean what's going on overseas with the Middle Eastern war, an interest rate rise has happened, the budget was handed down. There seems to be a quiet period of about 2 weeks. And then I feel like people just get a little bit fatigued by it all. And then they're coming up and they're like, do you know what? We're just going to get on with things. That is definitely the sentiment that we're seeing out there. I think as a world, we have been served with so many things over the last few years that people are almost just over it. That is kind of what I'm feeling out here on the ground. People are just sick and tired of it. They're like, you know what? We're just going to get on with stuff.
Yeah, fatigue is a good word. So there you go. If you want to find the rest of this video, it'll be on our socials.
Unfortunately, the biggest people.
You can find it on our socials, and we'll have it all tagged in our handles.
Yep,
Lise,
it's sitting there on our social
day.
media accounts. Guys, you too, have a wonderful day, Billy. We're in for a big one today. Lots and lots of new stock coming on. I was sitting at a dinner party on Saturday night, just before we wrap up. A girlfriend of mine who works in real estate in the eastern suburbs was saying, isn't stock low? And I'm thinking, I'm not seeing that at all. I've got lots and lots of stock coming on. So different markets are happening all over the place. Want to know what's really going on in the market? Ask the real estate agent. There you go.
Yeah.
Guys, have an awesome day. Billy, I'll see you shortly.
See you soon. Thank you. Bye.